Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into the amazing world of watercolor. Now, you might think you know what watercolor looks like, but I'm telling you it's a medium that can create completely different universes on paper. Let's dig in and find out how.
Okay, just look at these two paintings. The subject is exactly the same, right? A picture and an apple. But they couldn't feel more different. On the left, you've got this super realistic, quiet, and controlled piece. And on the right, it's just an explosion of pure color and energy. It's wild. So that's the big question we're tackling today. How on earth can the very same type of paint create two worlds that are so radically different? It feels kind of like a magic trick, but I promise you, the secret isn't magic. It's all about the choices the artist makes. To get to the bottom of this, we first need to pop open the watercolorist's toolkit. We're going to look at a few core techniques, the fundamentals that really make up the foundation of any style you can imagine. Because it's not about the paint itself, it's all about how you use it. You know, a great way to think about this is like learning a new language. Each technique is basically a word. And with those words, you could write a super technical instruction manual, or you could write a beautiful, sweeping poem. It all just depends on how you put them together. So the most basic word in our new language is the flat wash. And it's pretty much what it sounds like. You're laying down a smooth, even, consistent field of color. This is your building block for pretty much everything. Then, building on that, you have the graded wash. This is how you get that beautiful, seamless shift from dark to light, or even from one color to another. And this one is absolutely essential if you want to create the illusion of light hitting an object. And then there's the magic of wet on wet. This is what happens when you put wet paint onto paper that's already wet. The colors just bloom and blend into each other in these gorgeous, often unpredictable ways. It's where watercolor gets to be a little wild. All right, so now that we have some of our new vocabulary, let's go back to that first painting. Let's see how an artist can use these exact same tools to get something that's all about precision and control. So in this style, the artist's goal is crystal clear, isn't it? They want to make this look real. The whole point is to capture the form, the light, the texture. It's less about flashy color and more about creating a believable, solid object in space. And to pull this off, the artist is zeroing in on a few key things. First, a serious emphasis on light and shadow. They're using really subtle shifts in tone, not color, to show form. And notice how sharp and controlled the edges of the objects are. It's all in service of rendering that realistic three-dimensional form. And if we zoom in on the picture, you can totally see those graded washes we were just talking about. See that seamless shift from the bright highlight to the deep shadow? That's what tricks our brain into seeing a curved, round surface. It's done with so much care and subtlety. Now look at the shadow cast by the apple. That deep, dark area wasn't made with one big blob of paint. No way. It was built up slowly, with one careful, transparent layer of a flat wash after another. Each layer adds a little more depth, until you get this incredibly rich, believable shadow. Every single mark here is intentional. Okay, deep breath, and let's do a complete 180. We're going to jump over to that second painting now and see how an artist can use the same medium to create a world that's all about freedom, emotion, and just letting the paint do its thing. So in this piece, the whole game has changed. The artist is not trying to paint a photograph. They're trying to capture a feeling, an energy, an impression of the scene. Realism completely takes a backseat to pure emotion. The priorities here are totally flipped. Vibrant color is the absolute star of the show. The artist is leaning into spontaneity, into those happy accidents. They are using these loose, energetic brushstrokes that are all about capturing the essence of the thing, not every single boring detail. And here it is. This is the power of that wet-on-wet technique in action. Just look at how the blues and yellows in the background have just crashed into each other, bluing and creating all these amazing new textures. The artist basically just sets the stage and then lets the water and the paint have a party. Oh, and you gotta check out the drips running down the page. In that first realistic style, a drip would be a total disaster, something you'd have to fix immediately. But here, it's celebrated. It's part of the art. It adds energy and it reminds you, hey, this is paint. This is a living, breathing process. So what have we seen? We've seen two completely different worlds, born from the exact same medium. And that really gets us to the core of it all. Style isn't an accident. It's a choice. So you can break it down like this. On one side, you have the path of control. Its goals are realism, careful tonal studies, and absolute precision. And on the other side, you've got the path of expression, which is all about emotion, telling a story with color and embracing spontaneity. And here's the thing, neither one is better than the other. They just have totally different things they want to say. And of course, it doesn't just stop with those two styles. The spectrum is huge. You can push these ideas even further, breaking the subject down into almost pure color and shape and feeling, like you see here. The possibilities are, quite literally, endless. So, at the end of the day, if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. The difference isn't the paint. It's not the paper or the brush. It's the purpose. It's the why behind the painting that changes everything. We started this whole thing by saying that these techniques are like a vocabulary, a language. And we've seen how that language can be used to describe the world with almost scientific accuracy or to just scream with pure joy and color. So, the final question I have for you is this. If technique is a language, what will you say?